It is explained to us that astral power is the strange energy that lies dormant on this planet. The bearers of astral power now have it with witches and wizards and were oppressed by those of the Empire. A place where many people were harmed by astral power, the Empire. A paradise left for innocent witches, the Nebula's sovereign. The fate that brought these two nations to this point is an endless road through war. Iska, our protagonist, decides to put an end to this war. And Lisa, our female protagonist, decides to create a world without persecution. So the crusade that will change the world had begun. The anime begins with our protagonist Iska running to save a girl whose name is Sispel. He is impressed that she has the armband of a holy disciple. He doesn't understand why a holy disciple would go to prison just to save her. He is impressed by what is happening there. He asks her to hurry up and escape as soon as possible. He gives her some money. He knows it's not much, but he needs to escape as soon as possible. The scene changes to Iska, who becomes a prisoner. He was the youngest in history to receive the title of holy disciple. However, a year ago, he was convicted of freeing and imprisoned, which this led to his demotion as a holy disciple. When asked if what he said was correct, he answers yes. From today onwards the boy will be released, considering that the nation has been at war with the witches for 100 years. The action that Iska did is considered a great crime by everyone present at the place, but they are offering the opportunity to redeem himself for the crimes he committed. Iska received a mission. The longtime enemies now call themselves astral mages. Iska will be the one responsible for eliminating this witch. It won't be just any witch, she is the purebred witch, direct descendant of the great witch Nebulous. In the past, the great witch Nebulous transformed and emerged in a sea of flames. This descendant is called the purebred and, as you know, has great astral power. Iska has received a battle against them. Now the boy's target is one of the most powerful, the Calamity Witch of Lita. Iska is the great successor of the Black Steel. From this moment on, Iska is free. He will provide a transit vehicle to go to the front line in 17 hours. Everything you have to do will be provided for the boy. Iska needs 3 members that he likes to have in his unit upon leaving prison. It has been a long time since Iska saw the stars. Suddenly a friend Jean appears, who he has not seen for a long time. He thanks him for having gone after his friends, even though it was so late at night. He's used to short notice. Suddenly Nene appears, hugging the boy, congratulating him for being freed, but the captain appears at the place she came from far away to have the group back, where she is so excited that she even fell to the ground. She is class. She is very excited that the 3rd Special Defense Division of Humanity Unit N07 is united for the first time in a year. Taking the car, he asks to know what mission Groot will do this time. It could be about the suppression of witches. It's all the unit has ever done as ordered. Their target now is an indirect descendant of the Grand Witch Nebulous of the pure race. Jean asks to know if Claudia heard about the Witch of the Calamity of Lita. She is theorized and likes to know if this is really true. Iska answers yes. Have you always wanted to draw your favorite anime characters but think you don't have the talent? Here on our channel we have the perfect solution for you. We've formed an exclusive partnership to teach you all how to draw anime quickly and easily. Even if you think you don't have the talent for it, you will learn from Noah Williams, one of the greatest experts in the world of anime. Drawing anime has never been so simple, and it doesn't matter if you are a beginner or already have some experience. From the first class you will see the results. You will learn very quickly. The link will be in the video description, and only you can access and learn today. The reason it was released was this: it was so that it could capture this ancient magic. It was so that it could capture this astral mage. Claudia is sure that Iska dropped a Daira from the 8 great apostles. Iska doesn't know what she's saying. She believes that the witch first appeared on the northern front in Yubel, heard that she broke through the line and came back alone. The light of her military background then leaves. Some people say that she is the most powerful astral mage in history, but she also doesn't know about the soldier Iska. For better or for worse, the sovereign Nebulous also has no information about Iska. In their view, Iska is someone completely unexpected. Nene thinks this is all right. Iska was arrested soon after becoming a great disciple. This means they are unprepared. That said, now they are returning to Iska after throwing him in prison. Therefore, even they must be completely lost as to what to do. What comes to Iska's mind is the Witch of Lita's Calamity. Claudia would like to know if Iska will really fulfill this mission that was assigned to him. Iska decided to accept. After all, this is a great opportunity for everyone. Claudia knows that if he does anything about this, he will end up going back to prison. However, Iska doesn't want to think about something like that. He's trying not to think too much. He'd like to end this desperate war. That's all he thought about both now and later. When he arrives at the army, they notice that there's a new reactor, but he doesn't understand the fact that there's such a powerful new weapon and there are so few people in the troops. Suddenly Nene appears, having finished examining the vehicle. He also located the commanding officer in the tent. He is finding it very strange all the time. It is shaking a lot while it is working, and there is a lot of noise in its operational combito. Everyone praises the girl for being a beautiful engineer. Suddenly Jin appears on the scene, saying that it is a vicious cycle, but the control ring is almost at its limit. The Empire builds a reactor, then the Sovereign launches an attack and destroys it. The Empire builds a rapporteur, then the Sovereign launches an attack to destroy it. Then they build more weapons after repeating the cycle for another 100 years. This is the new world that has its master always repeats what has triggered this war, the reasons that continue to prolong it. Now it has emotional weight for all of them. After coming this far, logic won't stop unless someone puts an end to it. The Force, even if it means being hated, and the one who will be left wondering how will he put an end to it all. Jin knows that Easter people who are thinking our options, but whether they are right or not is another matter. Suddenly she receives a call from a unit in front. They say that at the moment they are not facing any astral squad, they are waiting for them upon arrival. When they least expect it, they end up feeling an aura getting out of the car. He is suddenly attacked. Jin wonders why Lebuluzio's squad is on site. Klaus thinks that all this is not possible, this is still Imperial territory, and this guy sees that they have broken through the front line defenses. It is probably a powerful astral mage nearby. Suddenly he receives a message. It's a general request for reinforcement from the Nelka squad's communications team. Jin knows there's no time to waste, there's still a sneak attack to be made, but there's a group of mages behind approaching. It's a furious pace. Suddenly behind Jin a fire attack appears and Iska manages to cut that goal with extreme ease. The wizards don't understand how Iska can cut the fire attack. Klaus wants everyone to be careful. Jin doesn't want her to keep yelling like that. If Klaus keeps yelling they'll realize she's the leader of the group shooting the wizard. They're wind types and they can't be very effective. Suddenly a group of wizards appears and now Jin understands the current situation. Finds in the presence to detect when they bury themselves. This is a large-scale spell. He is his very powerful astral mage. Klaus doesn't understand how his members are so calm. Jin predicted this would happen, so he's calm. Jin asks to know if Iska can cut these people as soon as he gets his intuition back. He can try now. It's going to be a little harder, which means he'll need help from Nene. Using the anti-astral flare, she launches several missiles against the enemies. She manages to distract some of them. They separate to defeat the enemies. Using the firepower, Iska wants the blows easily. She appears behind the man. She defeats him. The girl doesn't understand what's happening. Iska says she trained to do something like that. Then she punches the girl in the face. She knocks her out. After defeating all the wizards, she is impressed that Jin and Iska defeat the enemies with that name, the ease. Jin comments that a year ago she may have left all this with Iska. Moving on without him, remembers that the boy is an anti-war warrior. Suddenly she hears a bang and a golem appears where there is an astral power of earth. A wizard appears in a place who finds all this peculiar. She's impressed that they can handle unity before they even arrive. Apparently they just pass by a common squad. Iska with just one blow can cut the golem's arm, so she wants me to give it all to him. She wants me to take Jin and baby with her and offer some support. She knows that if the ones who almost got there will waste a lot of time running, she can easily manipulate herself shooting at the boy. Iska cuts the blows. She is impressed that he cut her astral arts as if it were nothing. He must be a holy disciple. Iska does not intend to answer Gassim, but he will say if she confesses. Where is the astral magician? Which of Lita's calamity? She asks him to stay by her side. She will never allow him to look at the girl. Iska knows that she will never do Gassim again, but she has some matters to discuss with her, saying that she can forget. Starts shooting several blows against Iska, cutting the prey on the girl's back, and this time it's a checkmate. Asking to know who is the boy. Before I would like him to answer where is the witch of the calamity of Lita, but she doesn't intend to say something like that the wizards behind it has nothing to do with the Imperial dogs moving away. Asked to know what he thought of threatening her with a sword. She's also ready for hand-to-hand combat. Going after the boy, blocks the blow and puts her on the ground. She couldn't believe that there is someone as strong as Iska. Suddenly a girl appears with the power of ice to push Iska away. Iska realizes that this girl is the witch of calamity using her power of calamity. Asked to know is this kidney okay? Iska gets scared that this power can't be real but stops Alice so that she can be careful. Iska's sword can cut and block her. Astras thanking her she did well and managed to delay Iska. She managed to freeze the reactor, breaking it right after Iska notices that this was her plan from the beginning. Alice asks to know who Iska is, how someone who is not a holy disciple can defeat the kidney. Iska is there just to capture Alice. She's stressed and she likes to know who she thinks she's talking to. If she doesn't want to feel a freezing pain much worse than death, better get out of her way as soon as possible. Let's talk at the same time so that they can surrender. Alice would like to know what's the name of the boy who introduces himself as Iska. Coming at her, he uses his ice attack, snowstorm of my thorns, dodging the blows and blocking some, but ends up suffering blows. Even so, Alice would like to know if it is the most that he can do, but in reality Iska can do something much better than that using his astral power, and is impressed that Iska can use the same astral that Alice. Iska comments that it is the power of the astral sword and not his. Iska attacks the girl, but with her ice power she manages to defend herself. She thinks it's better that Iska surrenders as soon as possible. There's no way to get through her blizzard. Iska vents that if she wants to give up, no one will be able to put an end to this war. Touching the girl's heart, she ends up becoming inattentive. Appearing behind her back, she manages to use her ice power and Iska blocks the blow right after echoing. The kingdom understands the reason that Alice did something like that, but she wants the boy to surrender as soon as possible until he defeats the Empire, and her Naramu will not give up an eternal peace without invasion and without persecution. That is what she wants. Heiress of the nebulous sovereignty. Alice stumbling, Iska picks up the girl in his arms and asks to know if she is okay, not knowing what he is doing. It was all just a matter of reflex. Listening to the voice of one of Iska's friends, Alice thinks it's best to retreat as soon as possible. Loving you, one of her birds doesn't want you to think that you'll have this luck the next time they meet. Being from the place, everyone is very excited that Iska is fine. Jim sees that the rumors about the girl were all right. It seems that she is an extraordinary astral magician. The boy has arrived close to the point of meeting on the front line. Meanwhile, Alice is very bothered by what happened and has to relax a little and show a ticket to the kidney about the tragic love of Amazon Beatrice. actress she wants to go to the opera. When arriving at the theater she starts to cry a lot. Someone hands over a handkerchief thanking the person. This time it's Iska who handed over the handkerchief. The scene changes to Iska where he is having a lot of trouble sleeping after having met Alice. When leaving his establishment it is clear that if he is still having a lot of trouble just ask her, she can try to help. That's why she always tries to be present if her team needs to talk. Seeing the boy smiling she knew that Iska had the expression that something had happened, so she wants him to tell everything to her captain. Even so Iska can't stop thinking about what happened in the battle she had. She thinks that maybe it left an emotional scar inside Iska, but considering it as trauma after going through a fierce battle she can get hurt psychologically because of her injury and fear. After fighting the Bush of Calamity Relida, this would be no surprise. Klaus would like to know what he can do to fix everything that's happening when something bothers him. A barbecue, a good night always cheers him up. Iska isn't sure if she's inclined to something like this, but she thinks that this change in scenery would be a good thing. But she takes the boy to her house so they can talk a little more, but it's a complete mess. But even so, who comes in and makes himself at home? Seeing that the collection of stuffed animals has increased, there's a clothesline full of very peculiar clothes, but not something that was supposed to be there for him. He feels very embarrassed and then leaves the place. Anyway, you know that nothing good will come of staying locked in the room. Iska needs to get out for a while so she can take her inner demons, offering the ticket to the opera. It's a play called The Tragic Love of the Amazon Beatrice. They teach her in the neutral city every year. She really likes this opera, so it ended buying a ticket for the season, the 9 of 10. But I would like Iska to take the last ticket. Iska would like to know when is this opera, but it is before the next mission. Mother Iska cannot refuse because it was an opera for her master. The lady changes to Iskanini where he was sleeping soundly. No matter how much he talked to Iska he would not wake up at all, apologizing for not having met. It has been a long time since he dreamed of his master. It was about him and Jean going through intense training, but with a nightmare that brings back a lot of memories for Nene. Iska hasn't dreamed about Master Crow for a long time. Iska also hasn't used his swords for a long time. The scene changes to the same inside the establishment. Iska realizes that there is a girl crying in front of him, so he decides to offer her his handkerchief so that she can dry her tears. Thanking soon after the play ends and the light turns on, asking the reason that Iska is there. She gets really angry and will put an end to this once and for all. Rinkar says don't do something like that. This is a neutral city. Any conflict in this city is strictly forbidden. Alice knows that if she attacks Iska now all neutral cities will turn against them. That would be something terrible, but you can't believe that he was sitting in front of you. It's no wonder that you felt restless. Iska realizes that he was crying a lot in the play. Alice is embarrassed. It was just a tear that was falling from her eyes, so she wants you to forget what you saw in front of you and stops Alice from screaming, which is drawing the attention of many people. This is embarrassing. Deciding to back off for today. What is it, Iska? Have a good day and soon. Thanks you for your consideration, and I wish she wouldn't do something like that, but it's just force of habit. When leaving the place Alice thought her heart would stop. The girl knows it's over, and taking the words out of her mouth she was afraid that Alice would start a war. The girl wonders if she's being followed and realizes that he didn't take a single step until he left the room. Alice still manages to believe that he sat right behind them the whole time and didn't realize it and should have considered that possibility. Alice wants to forget about it and eat the meal. There must be a famous pasta restaurant in the area. Upon entering, the woman comments that everything is occupied, but if she wants to use a shared table there won't be any problem. Suddenly Iska appears at the location. She ends up choking on water and thinks that she must be being followed by the boy, asking to know the reason why she is there. He is just going to this restaurant because it is very famous. Besides, he had a reservation. Alice understands the situation and thinks it's better to keep an eye on the boy when sitting together at the table. The atmosphere is horrible in the place, and I'd like to know if she'll want to stay there and go to the neutral city. Better than having dinner with an imperial soldier. But you know, if she leaves now, it'll seem like she's running away, scared, going to get the menu. Iska also wants it. They both end up touching each other and apologizes right after. Being a great night, he decides to let her ask first. Alice wants him to look. They both come together feeling very embarrassed. I would like to know if you found what you would like to order. They both order the food together and basically describe the food that you want. The same. Iska really likes pasta, and because of that he ended up ordering what's more if it's something very creamy. Alice realizes that he really knows what he's talking about, but when it's hot outside cold noodles are another option. They both get really excited talking about noodles, and Rin asks her not to get so excited talking to the enemy, going back to her bad girl attitude. The scene changes to the girl lying on the bed. Rin knows that she needs to report to her superiors to the dog that she found the enemy soldier. She knows that, but that's the enemy's personal item. There's no reason to keep it. Even so, Rin knows that the soldier is nothing but a monster. One day he might become the girl's biggest obstacle. One day the bait might become the girl's biggest obstacle, but there's also a guilty party. Made a comment about cooking the pasta salt and garlic clove. Alice and the bait ended up making an alliance in the middle. Strange. Rin just stated a fact and it was nothing special. Al dente is the best noodle. No one should deny the gasim. The scene changes to the bait, who is thinking about the girl. Alice is also thinking about the same and doesn't understand the reason why she can't sleep. She has shown us a little more about the past of bait, where he defeats several monsters in a very sudden way. A girl with the power of ice appears on your back and freezes some creatures. When you wake up you weren't remembering that event in your life. Soon after you are running with the backpack on your back. back so that you can soar a little and gain physical conditioning. Even though you are tired, to continue this training you have to run the distance while you hydrate yourself. She has already drunk everything you had to drink. She wants you to leave a sip of water so that you can drink. For when she is very tired suddenly so that she can keep running. Eska asks to know if she is now a special advisor of the Special Defense for Humanity. Eska would like to know what kind of problem did she bring to them today. Eska would like to know what kind of problem did she bring to them today. The Mizmiz unit is under your command for this next mission. Seeing that she didn't like it very much, they're as smart as Rias. She's not sure if she'll understand the strategies. She knows everyone will be fine. She covered the reports about the meeting in Nelka. She can say that the institutions all are still very sharp, but I heard that Eska is having trouble sleeping, so give a present to the boy so he can have some more fun. An art exhibition by Dolph Blanc that came out she won from her subordinate, but she doesn't care about these things, so I would like that she accepts this soon. The scene wakes up to Alice apologizing to her mother. She knows that the other day Alice had mentioned that she fought the Imperial swordsman who was as strong as the Holy Disciples. The Holy Disciples protect the Emperor and are the strongest in the Empire. Alice would like to know if there is something wrong. She wants you to see above if years ago the founder fought against tens of thousands of soldiers of the Imperial army. She still lives. The founder had a twin sister younger. She was none other but Nebulin. The lineage begins with her. She is an ancestor, as they called her in Fear, had a sister. That's why they rejoice with Grambucha's death. When Nebulin Z1 passed away, the bonds of the founder are weakening. Did you see this change, founder? Now did you see this change when Alice fought against the swordsman of the Empire in the forest Nelka? Alice wonders to know what this means. Her mother comments that this has an astral power that reacts when hosts. It's been in danger for a long time. When the Imperial army reached the sovereign, there were many records of astral powers reacting at the same time. It's true for the astral power of the founder with a sign of its awakening. I wonder if Alice has anything in mind to say. She comments that many mysteries remain regarding the astral power of the founder. It will make the astral institution quickly examine Algason, but Alice must refrain from going to the battlefield at least until she knows that this who is an Imperial swordsman. Rin notices that there is something wrong with Alice, but in truth she will try not to think too much about things. She has had a lot of trouble sleeping, so she has to change the scenario. Rin thinks it must be something that happened in the neutral city. If something happens again it will go wrong, but the girl knows that all of that was just a coincidence and it won't happen again. For safety's sake this time she won't go to the opera. This time she should really enjoy her rest. The next day she ends up meeting Whis, who doesn't know that Destiny is plotting. She realizes that they are going together to the exhibition. I would like to know the reason that an Imperial soldier turns the city neutral. Counting the frequency in this way she already knows. Only to emphasize that Vi Blanc is an impressive artist of the Empire and that it is not strange to see art but should appreciate the art of an Imperial artist. She knows that there are no borders. Seeing that this is true, she thinks that the museum must be close to the place, so she needs to go soon before the play starts. I think the museum must be close and she needs to go as soon as possible. Not wanting to go with the boy, Alice doesn't know where she's going to another place that tries to stop her, but she keeps walking, entering the labyrinth in front of what she imagined. She keeps calling for a ripper when she's lost. Suddenly Eska appears on the girl's back. She saw almost all of her play but didn't find Alice there, so she thought that she was lost. Eska can take the girl if she wants to. Disagreeing with the little Algae, the princess of the sovereign Nebulas, and Iska is a swordsman from the Empire. Eska, seeing that she is a princess. The boy always knew that she could be an Alice. Now he sees that there's no way to hide her identity. In any case they're enemies and they can't be going out together. It's not appropriate to go to the art museum together. Eska knows they're enemies, but art has no borders. Those were the words of the girl when they met. Upon arriving at the place, it was this painting that they always dream of seeing after seeing something and having a lot of fun. He thanks the boy with something to drink for having shown him the way to the museum, knowing that it wasn't a big deal. Eska has his own money. When he takes it out of his pocket he only has a few coins and he can't buy any candy. Suddenly Iska ends up falling asleep leaning on Alice, letting him continue. And he knows that they are enemies. If he wanted, in the current state that he is in now, he could defeat the boy. And the scene changes to Iska's group where everyone is very busy and he offers them all some soda so that he can rest a little. Suddenly Riaza appears at the scene asking to know if everything is okay, making preparations for the place. The girl asks to know if Iska can go to the Imperial Senate, being called by the successor of the Black Steel. They reviewed the boy's report. He fought against the Witch of the Calamity of Elida and stopped her. Iska really is a jewel for everyone in the Empire. The boy knows that he ended up failing to protect the reactor. The mission they gave, what they gave to the boy, was to stop the Witch of the Calamity of Elida, not to protect the reactor. The Empire has the power to fight against the Witch of the Calamity of Elida. This knowledge alone is a remarkable military achievement, so much so that the reinstatement as the Saint of Siege is being discussed. They also comprise the determination to achieve peace of this world. How the holy disciple Iska could gain an audience with excellence from the boy, but Iska is a criminal known within the Empire, therefore they are offering Iska a new condition to learn the Witch of the Calamity of Elida. Getting his eyes shining, people are counting on the boy to do this mission. When he lies down in his bed, remember Alice's words that she is a good person and has no evil in her heart. Calling his leader, wants to skip tomorrow's training, asking to know the reason behind this. Iska has something to do in the neutral city, but he ended the day with Ria's ticket. Iska won't see something someone he wants to meet as soon as possible. Class now understands the reason he wants to skip training. Iska asks to know if he can do that for the boy. Class cannot deny this conviction, thanking him. She has only one condition. The mother goes with Iska, not understanding the reason. I would like Iska to look out the window. I'm sure that at this exact moment he is very tense. He cannot leave a member of the team in this condition and alone, so I would like him to go with him where he has to go. The scene changes to Alice and he comments that a letter has arrived from Iska to the girl. Now I'm sure that Iska is a holy disciple. Iska was the youngest in history to be promoted. Without a doubt he is one of the most talented swordsmen the Empire has ever had. Alice asks to know how she will meet the boy and says there is a reason for that. After the promotion that Iska had, he did not step foot on a battlefield. The promotion was withdrawn. Iska ended up being arrested. Wanting to know the reason behind all of this, he hands over the newspaper. Iska freed an astral mage imprisoned by the Empire. Alice doesn't understand the reason he did something like that in the Ring Forest. The thing was after her, so he wants Rin to find an astral mage that Iska freed. Rin is investigating, but it will take a few days. Seeing again the cloth that Iska gave to her, the girl's mother is sure that Alice is interested in Iska. She comments again to the girl that the Empire is their enemy, a nation full of people that Dan persecutes called witches. The way they were treated by the Empire was nothing short of cruelty. The witch hunts found the Atreides mages. They were victims of them. To defeat and overthrow the Empire, their greatest desire, astral magicians. The Imperial artists are no exception. Alice knows the countless paintings of the witch hunts and the witch trials. They too are pawns of the Empire. It is unforgivable to collect things like these. That is all the girl's mother has to say to the table. It has taken up enough of Alice's time. It's very late. Being from the place, Alice keeps looking at the cloth. Putting the cloth away, she calls for Rin. She wants the table to be ready tomorrow to take the table in the neutral city. Rin doesn't understand what she wants to do. She can meet Iska again, but that's what she wants. She can find out the true intention of the boy. The next day, class asks to know if she can say with whom she arranged this meeting. Iska didn't mark anything. Class doesn't understand what he's saying. Given this, Iska has the feeling that he'll find the girl sooner or later. Until today he's never believed in destiny or a sign, but he has the feeling that he'll find the girl again. Class asks why he's so sure about something like that, but there's something that he's sure will happen. When looking at the sky, you notice that there is a bat rosa in the place. It is very rare to find. Few still live in the territory of the Empire, but I think that some villages in the interior have a lot of them. Meeting the girl, Alice wants to ask something to the same about what kind of stars they were both born. Class would like to know who is this girl that is in front of you. She introduces herself as the captain of the Empire. Her name is Alice. She introduces herself as the people of the Empire who know each other better. With the Witch of Calamity, Reread getting nervous, doesn't know what's going on. Alice thinks it's better to be from the city so they can talk better. She keeps asking herself the reason that she hates each other, that there are peaceful cities like this one. Alice has a question for Iska. A year ago her Imperial side was arrested for treason. A peculiar holy disciple who freed an astral mage imprisoned by the Empire asks to know if it was the boy. Iska remembers that she was just a little girl 12 years old with weak astral power, but the Empire learns all astral mages. Regardless of that, Iska doesn't like something like that. There you see every action of Iska are contradictory. He went to the Nelk forest to capture her, but there is a reason he freed someone, because he felt sorry for the girl. This is not at all convincing and unstable because the boy is not talking, nothing to do with anything, but from his point of view there is no contradiction. His objective is just a peace treaty. I want to end this war that makes no sense at all, but the Empire will not act based on anything he says, nor will the sovereign Nebulous act. So his plan was to take a descendant of Nebulous Wrath as a hostage, a powerful mage behind a pure race as the Empire calls. He thought that if the royalty was in danger it would disturb the sovereignty of Nebulous. The people of Alice also must be very worried about what is happening and forced to rethink the negotiation of peace. Alice doesn't think that Iska is lying, but that won't work. Nothing will change. The war will probably continue. Iska asks the reason behind Algarcinia. Alice knows that even if she gets married taking her mother hostage she won't react, therefore there will be no negotiation. Peace is just a hope. Indiana Vane: I would like to know if Iska never was in the sovereign. Do you think he has no idea of how many people in the nation hate the Empire? But she also never knew what the Empire had. People like Iska among the Imperial soldiers, Barbos and Concertivos among the Imperial soldiers. Barbos never knew that there was someone who wanted to fight for the end of this war. Also, I think you met Bait very well. Bait should serve under the command of Alice. Everyone present gets very scared and keeps thinking about what she just said and thinks she must be going crazy and doesn't know what she means. That's not what they discussed in the meeting they had, but they just had an idea and thinks it's complete madness. In Aeltir, my Cispel will allow Algarcinia much less the Majesty. Alice wants to think about it. When she gets home she will guarantee social state. She will desert in the Empire. Class doesn't want that to happen, but when she least expects it the place starts to shake and everyone gets really scared. Alice wants to know what's happening. Rin doesn't know either, but the astral power scary. Bait wants Klaus to retreat as soon as possible. Suddenly the same girl appears that she saw together with her mother. This is the founder Granbucha Nebulous. She was alive 100 years ago when she transformed the Empire into a sea of flames. Klaus doesn't think it's fair. It's just her and Bait to fight. If a fight happens on the spot, Alice didn't do anything. She doesn't know what's going on. She has a face that irritates me. She has a face that is very irritated. The Empire, those who build this planet and the astral power, all of them them should die attacking everyone with extreme power. The place starts to shake, even the city ends up being damaged. Alice's mother sees that a frightening astral power in the sovereign, and it's resonating over everyone. She realizes that the dungeon of the founder has been destroyed and she fled the place, but this seems like a dream that came true. With that power, the defeat of the Empire is completely within their reach. The place ends up being destroyed. Reading that Lydia is on the ground, realizes that everything is fine. Iska gets angry and thinks that she must be Alice's ally and explains that the people of Bebuliza call her the founder, that she created the nation. Calling her an ally would be pure arrogance. Seeing this, you don't understand why the founder would go after Alice, her own descendant. But this is the system of self-defense of astral power. We don't know why she's acting so strongly like this. Alice finds this very frustrating. She wanted to resolve this just between the two of them. Ever since she met this in the neutral city, there's this detachment inside her, but as a princess this isn't allowed. So she comes to the place to cancel this. She's also very excited about all this. She just wanted both of them to resolve it without anyone's interference. But what, the stupid founder showed up in 13 and ruined everything. Rin asks Alice not to say something like that, but either way, they won't get anywhere if they stay in the place. So she thinks it's better to get closer to the girl and stop doing this kind of thing. But she doesn't understand why the astral mage dares to get in her way. If she's joining forces with the Empire, she'll be forced to end Alice by activating her power. Rin realizes that he came out of evil with his plan, so he wants you to disappear from the surface from this planet. Launching lava blows against Alice and Iska. Rin steps in front so that he can protect his master, crying for his friend. Iska asks him to be calm and breathe. The girl's body freezes and appears, which serves for the girl's diastral. So Iska wants you to take Rin to the hospital as soon as possible. Give preference to the special in astral injuries, and also orders the residents dodge with the area this place are about to become a very dangerous area. Taking the sword, she is impressed with the swords of the boy. These are the swords that awakened her. Her name is Korosway. Iska does not understand how she knows the swords of her master, seeing that he was the disciple of that man. Even so, it does not matter. She will finish him as soon as possible. Using her blows, the astral mage styled herself, allying herself with the Empire. This is something that can never happen. No amount of records will save her from her sins. Alice uses her ice blow so she can block the blows. She is also an astral mage, but she would make an ally without even blinking. She is no longer a heroine of sovereignty. You don't understand the reason the heroine can't save the world with pretty words. That's why she's going to become a witch and destroy the Empire. Iska sees that she could have been the nebula that could have been the hope that led of the astral mages 100 years ago, but now she's not the same person anymore. Seeing her actions makes you understand. In this area she is no longer needed. Wanting to talk to both of them prevents Procote from not wanting to talk to her. Her actions are empty without any meaning. The future that Iska seeks is not with her, so she wants him to come back. Sleep for another 100 years. Going after her, sees that Iska is nothing more than a dog of the government. They have no idea how many astral magicians were suppressed by people like Iska. Launching the blow, Iska dodges it and uses her ice blow, but ends up being broken by a demonic lion. Iska is impressed that she can use her ice and earth blow, freezing the lion. Uses his wind blow. Iska can't handle the impact, and luckily Iska is there to hold the girl's hand so that she doesn't fly away, asking her to release her song. She won't do something like that ever. Amos is upset about what's happening. She's hurt because Rin is hurt and a peace negotiation was thrown in the trash. With all this violence, she's in a neutral place, shares the same goal. That's all that matters. Iska wonders to know if she can really trust someone who's part of the Empire. Wanting to trust, she uses her ice attack and the enemy manages to block the attack, breaking the wire, and it's not over yet. Iska goes for it using her astral power and Alice thrown away. Launching her power against Iska blocks the attack. The woman notices that Iska is really a strong person, asking her to keep running. She uses an ice sword so she can keep running against time. Iska knows that it's because of this useless revenge that she has this war and it won't end anytime soon. Asking for Alice, the girl manages to block the blow and the woman doesn't understand how something like this is happening. Jumping cuts the woman's wings and wants her to go back to sleep. Next time she wakes up, the world will be a whole better place. Falling to the ground and falling apart, must have gone to limbo at sunset. About what Alice said, can't ally with the nebula. Understanding the situation now, I'm sure that both are really enemies. However, Iska would like to propose one thing. Laying on the ground, they both don't talk anymore, but they would like to give each other a truce, and tomorrow they will be enemies again. The next day Iska decides to go to the casino with her friends. Doing this, he realizes that he was robbed and the machine is manipulating his winnings. After a while, the case will change the machine to see if he can win something. Iska shouts for her not to take any risks. All her powers say if Cassie continues like this she will lose everything. Iska asks to know if she will be okay. Shin knows she won't, even so he doesn't even negotiate to know what she is doing in this place. A few hours later, Rias is talking to Cassie about the training together that will start next month, so she needs to make the most of the time she has. Cassie sees that she is very close. There's no way to focus so much on that and she leaves the place laughing. The scene returns to Cassie, who realizes that this mission really is dangerous. Iska wants to know what is the mission that they are doing. Cassie remembers that she said it will be a surprise for next week. Jean sees that he is taking this mission too literally. Want Cassie to think about it. No matter the mission, she's going to die. When she dies, Cassie gets really angry that this isn't comforting at all. The girl wants to earn a lot of money so she can buy a tank that all the people in her group get out safely. briefly understanding the situation sees that she's a genius and has unpredictable ideas. Jean thanks her for choosing this place. Just for pleasure, getting excited she'll keep trying to earn money for financial independence to have a beautiful scene. Iska realizes that the girl's goal has changed completely in a few seconds. Suddenly Rin and Alice appear on the scene, introduces her, swearing that the City of Pleasure is a prestigious tourist destination perfect for Alice, but she has no interest in gambling. He made it very clear that he preferred the neutral city of N and he doesn't want her to repeat something like that. He asks to know if she wants to meet Iska again. Alice doesn't care if she finds the boy. Her intention is pure with the Prince of Nebulica. She will fight with Iska the next time they meet, and that she does it on the battlefield. No need to find in the neutral city. Walking around the place so she can have some fun, comments that the slot machines are perfect for munitions. Like Alice when talking, she ends up passing by Iska's back and doesn't even notice the boy sitting down, so he can judge she doesn't want to do something like that, but in which she doesn't worry. The goddess of victory will smile upon her even in a game of chance, asking to know if this is true. First she will need to choose the perfect date for the battle between her and Iska. Praying her schedule is free next week at the market so she can find the boy and defeat him once and for all. But on that day the stars show misfortune. It's not good for an important day like this for her. She must choose the next holiday. She will also need to reserve a place so they don't want her to be thinking about something like this as if it were a wedding. Getting embarrassed. Reno understands the reason that she is so embarrassed like this, but anyway she can rethink it later. Seeing that it's true that you won't find the boy in this place, remember the words of the boy where he can't go to the side of Nebulous. Returning to the present time, I think the machine must have been broken. Reno is impressed that she hit the jackpot. She goes out to look for one of the employees so she can collect the money. Nene is impressed. If you were so lucky you could earn a lot of money and also buy your captain's tank. Having so much money, you offer it to the girl so she can play a little longer. Leaving or running away from the place, you go to your friends and say you won a lot of money from a mysterious girl who shared your victory with her. Look at this person, she's very generous. She must be a tycoon. Nene remembers that she's very pretty and looks like the princess. Eskexa can't be who is thinking. The scene returns to Alice returning home together with her friend, looking to the side, realizing that there is something of divination. Talking to the woman, she asks to know what Alice wants to know. Alice wants to know about a boy who is a year younger than her, thinking he is the boyfriend of the girl. It has nothing to do with it. Want to know when and where you'll be able to meet again using the cards. The lady notices that they are a completely different destiny for both of them. These cards are a pair. She's always close to the girl. When least expected they'll end up meeting again. The two are connected by a strong bond that not even destiny can break. Now is the perfect moment. She's looking for someone when leaving the place. Rin asks to know what she said, but in reality she said some things for the possible, nothing in particular. It's what was expected from the guessing. And we're leaving the place and forget her friends show up to comment. When entering the place, Eska is looking for someone, asking to know if it's someone specific or a girlfriend. She answers no. In the beginning they both met on the front line, during both of their missions, so she is sure it must be something related to work, not wanting to go into detail. Seeing that the destiny of both is quite interesting, the cards form a pair and the person he is talking about is very close to the same. The scene changes to Rias, who went to talk to the leader of the Empire. Getting straight to the point, he asks to know if she knows about the vortex. She says yes. The 47 Observation Center reported the southwest of Mildo Valley. She thought Nemely is already taking care of him, but in reality he needs more reinforcements. She thinks they must be talking about the one from the 3rd Division. It's a successor, Black Steel Gladiator Coswell. That'll be perfect. Asks to know if you intend to take Unit N07 to the vortex. You'll leave the justification for her and asks them to know if you want that piece just because you're friends with Miss, but it seems like you're going to play the villain for nothing. Man cuts the girl shortly after. That was how she rose to the position. She relies on her colleagues and superiors. Getting irritated, she will never do the HC again. Meanwhile, Team N07 is very tired, apologizes for calling him so suddenly like that, asks to know if he read the details of the training for next month, so he wants him to forget what he read. This call is to inform you about another mission that you are sending all of them for. As you know, this whole chain witch and demon started being years ago when a chain of astral energy created what is called a vortex. Without the vortex there would never be a great witch. It nebulizes the sovereign, and it seems that another vortex will form. It will be a big problem if the sovereign gets access to the vortex. This could mean that a more powerful witch could be born, and that is that they members of Unit N07 go into action. After all, they will accomplish a feat by stopping the witch of the icy calamity, so wish good luck to even. Meanwhile, she is thinking she doesn't have what she ended up forgetting to return the boy's cloth. Suddenly Rin appears on the scene. Just received a message for her from the girl's sister. It's about the girl's interruption in the astral energy. Possibly vortex was observed in the valley of Mildo southeast of the sovereign. The Empire sent some troops to the place. Alice doesn't understand what's going on. She hasn't been informed about any of this and comments that the Zor family are intentionally delaying the report to the Majesty. Alice will never understand something like this. Like the Lu, Zhu, and Hydra families, the 3 royal lineages are always fighting. The Mildo Valley is close to the border of the Empire. The troops of astral power are always related in the place. If it is not being reported, she realizes that there is something wrong in the place. Alice wants to know if the Zor family plan to keep the energy of the fort to herself, and she believes so. Then Alice understands what might be happening, she will try to find out and prove her thesis. Upon arriving at the place, Alice thinks that this is not a good reception for a future queen and notices that it is not what is happening. At least she expects someone appears behind her with a knife in hand, but the man is very impressed that he always had a sharp sense concentrated on dangers. Alice wants to know what's going on. The man wants him not to get angry. His astral power is very weak and he always has to stay with weapons in hand to defend himself. So I would like to know what brings the two of them to the place. They came just to ask a question about the fort in the Mildo Valley. Before he finishes the sentence, the man comments that it is just a flow of magma or maybe a flow of underground gas. There's no proof that it's the fortice. He knows it would be smarter to send the troops just in case. Alice would like to know the reason he's stalling to report to Gassim. That's when the head of the Suave family is leaving to report the findings. It takes a while to prepare the documents. Understanding the situation, Alice realizes it's a simple waste of time trying to talk about it. Going back home, being the cutoff for class where everyone is talking amongst themselves. Suddenly Iska appears asking to know if she reported what happened to her superiors, but she thinks that it was quite a provocation because there is no recording of the witches. They are just going to fight with the Iska class. I am sorry about that, but of course it is. Don't worry, there are many problems to report missions or errors in forms. Suddenly a girl appears who is very friendly with the class. She introduces herself as Charlotte Gregorio. Suddenly one of the superiors appears asking everyone to stand in line. Jim sees that she has personality. The moods were right. That is the camouflage suit state-of-the-art factory. He comes from the assassination troop of the Empire. The man is about to start saying that he will not give special orders to anyone with these understandings. The missions are as follows. 1. Protect the fort before the sovereign does. 2. There is the fort if you can't protect it. Lastly, you don't want it to get in your way. You won't allow anyone to ask. That's all. Then right after that you want all units to keep looking for the fort. Everyone knows that the fort is a giant astral energy looking over everything in the place. No one can find anything. So little reading of astral energy. Suddenly Classio appears, a local, saying that he is one of the units that searched for the fort and he is also losing contact against the 2 units that went to investigate the place, asking to know if it could have been one of the troops of astral power of Nebulous. She finds very little proof that it is something like that. If there were, there would be signs of fighting, but no evidence was found at the scene. Anyway, they're going back to base. They probably have new orders for all of them. Upon arriving at the scene, man thinks it's not necessary to go out to look for people. Out of 32 units, only 3 are missing. No need to send a squad for 3 units. Wants to find out just to locate the fort. Gina thinks it's all a big explanation sheet. Nene finds it strange not to send the rescue squad when more than 10 people are missing. Clays doesn't agree with leaving people behind. Eska decides he's going to ask to find out a former colleague. Upon arriving at the place, man asks to find out it's a boy. Even so, Eska wants to talk to the commander but gets married. It's an emergency. Wants me to ask Clays to talk to them. Entering in front of the men, he realizes that he has a guest. Kind of strange. He doesn't remember the boy's name, but he's sure he's seen him a few times. Eska says it's been a year now. He remembers that Miz is a traitor to the Empire. Notice that he has a lot of courage to appear in front of him like this, like a soldier stationed in this base. Eska has a question to ask the man. Man doesn't care much if he has something to talk about. He wants to reach a higher rank so he can talk, ordering that he got out. Suddenly Clays appears on the scene, would like to speak on behalf of Eska as captain. She wants to at least be useful at a time like this. She doesn't want to respect the man but finds it a bit strange the fact that he doesn't want to send any rescue squad for soldiers who appeared. When talking to everyone, they find it a bit strange the fact that he doesn't want to tell anything. Maybe he thinks there's some secret operation that they don't know about. Senna changes to Alice and asks to know if Alice really wants to go to the valley, answering yes, I want to as soon as possible. She thinks he won't be there. Alice doesn't want to see the boy this time. She's going with the princess of the Lu family. Suddenly, behind her back, a girl appears and asks if this is the right time since they haven't found anything. Namalias completely ignores some units that appear and leaves them in the dark regarding the information from the Empire about the mission. At the same time, Alice goes to the Piedevorda's outposts to investigate the situation and meets the masked man again. He was accompanying Declice Jin, saying that she alone was capable of defeating the people from the Empire. She was stronger than Alice. Alice realizes that they were trying to start an all-out war with the Empire, which makes her very uncomfortable. Iska's group ends up meeting Vortex as well, and soon they realize that they finally found what they were looking for. But then we have a big plot twist because Mrs. Friend, who was working with them, was actually a witch, just like Twos from the unit. In other words, a traitor. But before Nora's unit could act, she deserves to be free from the team quickly, but Nora ends up managing to escape using the car from the bait team. Nora, who was actually Shanaro, takes Miss as a hostage where Alice and the masked man are, but before Miss comments that she knew Alice and manages to make him conscious with the excuse that he could know the location of their new base. Now that she sees the path, Alice is very anxious, seeing Alice, who takes the opportunity to walk with Rin in her sip towards the battlefield. Soon after, the Empire begins to be attacked by Miss of Sovereignty Nebulous. Iska and her group appears to rescue Miss. Kissing then appears and shows the absurd power, leaving even Iska in shock with what she saw as Alice, and she finds no one at the base of the Nemelis Empire. She appears to face them and hurt them from the deed and replace him. It makes Alice angry, intending to fight him back in the battle against Nemelis. Alice. Alice tests his power before awakening a little more of her own, freezing everything around her and making the guy retreat in parallel. Iska manages to dodge the attacks and even escape Kissing's ability to recreate a miss using his thorns. But eventually Iska manages to hit Kissing, leaving her unconscious before he can take Kissing with him. The masked man appears and almost kills Iska with a sneak attack, giving a kick that sends Miss into the vortex. And when Iska jumps after her, Alice herself appears too. Alice jumps after him and says she would help in exchange for fighting her as soon as she returns to the surface. And with Iska agreeing, Alice uses her power to take him back to the top of the vortex. But the energy of the vortex grows, causing the two to separate with a huge explosion. Alice gets frustrated with the separation and soon Iska's group gets against him. Miss with Iska thinking that now he must see Alice for having saved their lives. Returning home, Alice keeps thinking while holding Iska's hand, and Rin realizes in advance her interest in him, saying that it could that opportunity for the two to meet and fight against each other. Finally, in parallel, the group gives a lecture to Miss for having fallen into the spy's clutches. She ends up having a strange sensation in her arm, but before she can find out what it was, she receives information about how it was possible to become a spy of the Kingdom of the Empire, but it was also possible to do the opposite, and soon they would find out how. Alice goes to the city waiting for the power, finds the bait as always, finally believing. Meanwhile, Rin starts to worry about her future as a queen because she must be worried about the various problems, then an impossible romance, wanting to end his relationship once and for all. It doesn't take long to see what was on Miss's arm. It was actually a witch's mark, probably caused by her presence inside the vortex that made her become not only a witch but also a host of the astral spirit that was inside the vortex, which leaves everyone in shock, totally uncomfortable opposing Miss herself, starting almost in a panic attack knowing that she could try to execute her. Now the boy says that they could hide the truth and everyone in the group agrees with the situation, even though they are all punished by their captain, and now he gets emotional to the point of crying, but the group still continues to worry that they won't be able to hide the truth for so long, and that's when Miss leaves so she can relax a little. It's just when Miss moves away to buy a drink he and Alice finally meet again, creating an awkward atmosphere between them. When Alice mentions that she's been looking for him for days, the two sit next to Alice and get comfortable enough to want to get closer and hear secrets of what was going on in his personal life, but right at that moment Rin appears to interfere in their meeting. They maintain a truce because they're in the neutral city, so they're not enemies. When Rin offers a drink to he loses consciousness and apologizes because he put medicine to sleep without thinking that he would really trust her to drink. He gets bothered by all of this and says that they should take him into custody, and right at that moment Miss appears. Alice begins to say that she would only take, but Miss emotions make her awaken her witch power, and Alice is surprised by what she sees. In parallel, the Emperor has the information that Iska has been captured, and so he is shocked that as a kingdom it has a hostage by guaranteeing others could start to happen again, and so the Empire would gain a reason to attack the kingdom somehow. After Alice started taking Iska to the sovereignty again, Alice started saying that she couldn't do that because torture or even the death penalty would be expected for a former disciple who was a saint like him, and with Alice's insistence that she couldn't do something like that, she decided that they would take him to a place closer to Nebulous. She was reporting the events regarding Iska's kidnapping and stated that they were taking him to the 13th province sovereignty Sibulice. There is in that place a person called Salinger the demon Harij, who in the past was also against the former queen. Nebulous claims that bringing Salinger to their side could be quite useful. Despite the difficulty, the Empire gives him permission to do whatever he deems necessary. Rise joins with Iska's group. She was determined to save him and she agreed to the rescue, but stated that for him to enter the kingdom they needed to go through something that would not be discovered as spies. She took out a small instrumental box that emitted astral energy, concentrating it to mark an astral crest on the people's skin for a week, becoming the witches for just a short period of time. After all of them marked their skin as if they were witches, taking the opportunity to pretend that Mizmus witch mark was actually fake. Bait says that they should go to Alcatraz to the rescuers who caused the greatest chaos possible, thus allowing the rescue unit to be able to enter the palace, taking advantage of that confusion halfway to an inn from Alcatraz. Alice gets a little emotional for being able to touch the bait discreetly, and still on the way he ends up waking up and ends up discovering that they used a drug to take him into custody. He claims he was disappointed with Alice for posing such a dirty trick, that it was all Rin's fault for acting on her own, and the three start to argue. He runs away impressed because his resistance to drugs was greater than expected. When she arrives at the inn, Alice talks to Rin and lets the bait stay in a decent room because she didn't want to treat a prisoner badly. After she leaves the room, the maid decides that she would make up a story so she could send the bait to prison as a way to get rid of him as quickly as possible, and uses the knife to try to hit the bait, and the two begin to fight until Alice sees the situation and asks the employee to go far away with the expression of great irritation with what was happening. Meanwhile, the bait group with the instructions of Rizia enters the kingdom and goes to Alcatraz, invading a tower where supposedly bait should be imprisoned. He in the inn puts a bait chain so that he doesn't do anything thoughtless, which leaves him without understanding what the chain was. Too small and they couldn't do personal things like going to the bathroom without anyone else seeing, with keeping an eye in the boy. He takes a bath and returns to the room without wanting wanting to just the jewel. When she turns around, Iska notices the mark of the astral coat of arms on her back and asks what he thought of that coat of arms because all the spirits saw them as demons, but still her piece wanted to know his opinion. Special, he reveals that his captain became a witch, but still they respected her like toy. They didn't throw people based on an astral coat of arms. Stupid like that. The girl asks what do they think of her then, not as a witch but as she was before. She says she saw her as a rival on the battlefield, which made her feel relieved because it was exactly the answer she was waiting for. In parallel, Bate finally meets demon transcendent Salinger, the demon that had been imprisoned 30 years ago. But despite the information that he had been given by the Empire, she still wanted to know if it was really all true because she looked quite young. Salinger was curious about how Iska was able to enter that place and listen to her proposal that they needed his help from Queen Milavai Lu Nebulous, with Iska telling him to supposedly seek revenge on the queen who had been imprisoned 30 years ago. He decides to just go with her because he was tired of standing still underground. In the middle of the night, Alice and Iska meet to talk until Rin appears to inform that there was an invasion in the provinces, including Alcatraz, and possibly it was from people from the Empire. Meanwhile, the group says they receive a call from Rissa saying that the Sword of China was stuck in the tower they invaded and they should just retreat, to which Mimis begins to think that he had probably used him only as bait for his objective and receives a report of the events inside the tower with which he had probably freed Salinger, passing on the information to Alice, who asks her maid to prepare a car because she would go to the place even though it was very dangerous because in the end she was the only one who would be a match to face Salinger if he had really run away. But before going to the battlefield, when Rissa to prepare the car, the girl returns the handkerchief, says she explains that she bought a new one because his that she printed ended up getting dirty, revealing to him that this car, if he could tell more, it would be really relieved what makes him himself. That's why he was a little surprised and clearly touched by her words. But in the end Alice quickly leaves the inn, leaving him alone in the room with Iska's group, managing to distract the guards and calling him at the hotel, which informs them that Alice had gone to the tower where the group was in. Jim asks him if there was a way for him to escape from the hotel to find them. He starts to say that he didn't find a way to get rid of the handcuffs until he thinks of something and goes to the handkerchief left by Alice, realizing that she was leaving him inside the key for him to escape, which makes him feel like an idiot for not having realized this before. With him running away, he meets his friends. He takes his swords back and asks for 15 minutes to solve something, running towards the chaos of the tower. Meanwhile, Alice begins to command the troops in the name of the queen and asks for him to meet Salinger again. She does it quickly. Salinger starts talking about how he was a king and intends to take all the astral spirits as if they were wells to become even more powerful than just a king. Reen starts fighting against Salinger, but the difference in power is clear. She ends up being defeated, enraged upon realizing that the magician had robbed the royal family even more spirits and astral powers than he imagined. But before Salinger could kill him, the very same protagonist appears to protect her, saying that that would be the only time. Now ready to face that dear enemy of Alice, Salinger doesn't understand why a person from the Empire would protect that maid, but still he starts to face Alice, who is impressed when the swordsman cut his invisible attack. This guy asks the queen to promise in case Salinger wins to let him and his friends leave the nation safely, and even without her answering the swordsman, the company assumes that the employee omitted in agreement with his proposal. Salinger and Issa keep fighting, running a little, supporting the imperial swordsman despite everything. In parallel, Alice continues commanding the troops until suddenly she was attacked from behind by Nameless, who doesn't answer the questions. She's gone, who freed Salinger and ends up leaving a few moments later with an explosion. Alice finally notices Salinger's presence up high, but I got the impression that Issa was facing Salinger, showing a little more of her skills, being able to divide and unite two different astral spirits, combine them to create a powerful blow enough to surprise even Issa, who receives that explosion direct and her body disappears, leaving the maid in shock upon seeing this. Rin asks if that creation Tranga of power, this is Salinger's goal in collecting astral spirits. He answers that it was just a byproduct because his goal was to combine humans with astral spirits, but only two people in history have achieved this level, one of them being the founder Nebulous, the person Salinger tries to surpass in power level. Rin comments that Issa was considered a rival to Liz. Serendis defeated the founder, which leaves the wizard surprised because it seemed like a big lie, but still the maid insists that that attack could not have killed the imperial swordsman, and his words prove true when Issa appears to attack and pursue Salinger, who was surprised to see the survivor. The swordsman comments that the black sword was capable of cutting the astral arts, while the white one replies this once Salinger understands how Issa was able to escape from his attacks. Even so, the swordsman manages to corner him, forcing him to flee. At that moment, Liz arrives to help Rin when he was relieved to see that he imagined Issa helped her to face that demon magician. With the end of the battle, they think about how Issa really kept his promise and is happy despite feeling embarrassed to admit that case he was grateful. Then he accompanies Rin so that he could report the events to the queen. Meanwhile, Namely meets with Risha, who had dressed as Namely to invade the sovereignty. With part of their research, Namely, they managed to discover that the invasion the castle was possible, and asks Risha for him to already report to the Empire. She answers that the Emperor was especially interested in Issa. Issa's group leaves with ease from sovereignty with relief, mimes that his Compilho was well despite having been kidnapped. Issa thinks about how how that time was really exhausting, and in the end what left him the most tired was having to deal with Alice even though he was not going to tell his enemies. Then he asks Mesme if the issue of the astral arm in her arm has been resolved, which at the same time Dixia was desperate because she put that aside. She completely forgot due to her concern for Issa, so she needs to find a way to resolve that. From now on, in parallel, Alice and Rin talk about Issa made seem to prove her at least as a warrior now, but little did they know that Alice's younger sister was watching her. Realizing that Issa was an imperial soldier that Alice was interested in, immediately realizes that it must be the person who a year ago saved her from prison in Maliza and Rishia. It was reported by the Emperor's event of the invasion of sovereignty, but he simply says none of that interested because something that didn't happen 100 years ago was developing now because a Princess Brusha apostle for an imperial swordsman. At the same time we see Princess Ispel having nightmares and avoiding interacting with some people in the palace, but ends up without a mission from the queen until the Amira people discover that those places were in favor of the sovereignty of the empire because there were some reports that the place is promoting relationships with the people of the empire. Meanwhile the group says they are worried because they all needed to pass a medical exam to make sure Faustus which Mark would disappear in a week, but that was a problem for Miss who had become a real witch. Suddenly Rishia appears with a doctor named Michelle. When they were working too hard they would send them to rest for 2 months, which made them feel a little more relieved. Because the Miss exam was postponed they gained time to solve this problem, and when he chased the princess he even returned, and on the way to greet her he meets with his sister Sispel who moves away. At the same time Alice is not to blame because the atmosphere between them is strange due to the pressure to give herself to the throne, to the point that Alice herself wanted to leave the castle but in warning saying that she could not because the magicians behind were preparing for the invasion of the empire, and because Sispel was leaving. Even with the mandate of Queen Alice herself cannot leave. Sispel leaves with Chaywards for her mission, still fearing because she knew that inside the palace there were many suspicious people and she was the only one who knew through a dream that there was someone trying to destroy everything. You meet the masked man commenting that she was worried because someone was having contact with the empire and she didn't know what to do. The man makes the masked man ask who was the person who was attracting sovereignty. The scene cuts to the group. They say that nothing is convincing, and after a whole day at the beach the swordsman ends up alone, and these old men hit him on the back without meaning to. The two recognize each other at the same time, but before they can talk a baby appears, and Sispel quickly disappears from their sight. Sispel meets Chaywards again to tell him that she met with the swordsman of his actions, and the two return to the hotel with their powers. The two discover the hotel where that witch, her friends are entering the room where that witch was, but before she can say anything the swordsman himself knocks her to the ground. When he was an enemy the girl asks to know if he accompanies to the sovereign. Sispel finally sits down to talk properly with him, thanking him for saving her from the empire, and she does the same, asking to go with him to the sovereign. He asks the reason for this, but the girl hides her true identity, says only that she is a servant who had no one to trust. I'm okay if her emotions dig in, let her go away to talk. Another day in parallel Alice's mother appears to ask her what happens to Suspel's room, taking advantage of the opportunity that the youngest princess went to the mansion to investigate in her room what could be making it strange. In the last days they enter according to the princess surprise because her sister knew Eska. Somehow Alice was worried if Suspel could know something about her. Eska also with her power to see 300 meters, leaving the kidney worried that it really could be the case, and Alice reports to the queen that they found nothing, but the maid suggests the sovereign the idea of letting Alice go after her sister to find out what she was seeing. The mission was immediately granted, discovering that a pureblood which was going to that place. The empire decide to take advantage of the opportunity to start a witch hunt, who tells the masked man and gets in touch with the empire they were her sisters and how worried she was about their future. I would ask the masked man to take care of the situation in his place because he didn't want to let his emotions interfere, and when the princess comes down to see, she is surprised by the size of the footprint and notices the smell of oil. Feeling that something wasn't right, the group says they will think again about the case of the coat of arms. Miss and Jean suggests that they should buy the same sticker as Captain Charnot, agreeing to go shopping. The next day he forgot the group going down to change hotels with the swordsman, giving an excuse just to avoid getting his friends involved with Sispel. Just when Dara moves away the princess appears to talk to him. Sispel comments about the power of her astral spirit to see the past like a video, which leaves Ace impressed, but he is even more when he finds out that she is Alice's younger sister. She comments that someone was going after the queen, this person descendant of the founder. She comments that someone was going after the queen, that person descendant of the founder, and the big plan was to kill the queen, make the sovereign go to war with the empire. He deduces that he was after Sispel too. She agrees, but she also didn't know how to say who was behind this mysterious plan, and that's why he was the only person she could ask for help. Despite everything, he says that he would not join her because his wish was to resolve the 100-year conflict between the two nations as a peace negotiation, and comments that there was another person in the sovereignty that Sispel could trust. The masked man appears accusing her of treason and ready to forge evidence without caring about her reason and interacting with the empire. Sispel starts to run away, but suddenly a large dragon machine appears before her, blocking her passage. The boy knows it as an android soldier of the empire and doesn't understand why they were there, but before he can help Sispel the masked man stops stops him. Iska's friends appear to help and mimic him. She knows the masked man, however before she can deal with them he warns that the android detected the crest of his captain. It was certain that he would try to kill her too. Then begins a battle between Iska's group against the masked man and the swordsman against the android to protect Sisbel, who doesn't understand the reason for this. Iska says he protected her because there was something he didn't tell her and buys time alongside Nene to be able to defeat the android soldier who faces the masked man and ends up taking unintentionally against the evidence forged against Sisbel, but at the same time letting it be known that Miss Miz was a witch and that she was quite useful information for them. Meanwhile Nene moves away to evacuate the people because the android started to shoot astral energies, or letting it be understood what kind of core could there be inside that soldier to launch that shot of power. Iska manages to defeat him, but not before the android soldier if I reassemble in a new form of Sisbel being taken inside him in the middle of the battle. He appears to stop giving bait in order to save his sister. The two begin to fight together against the android. Then you realize that that thing looked like your astral spirit. Being surprised when the spirit starts to speak in a different language. The two protos get together to fight while the android soldier combines their powers to win, confirming that Sisbel was fine. Soon she wakes up asking her sister if she always knew Iska, what kind of relationship they had. What Alice disguises, saying that she has never seen him in her life, but even with Iska agreeing with Alice's power of intimidation, it is obvious to Sisbel that he met because none of them know how to lie. With that, Sisbel said that she came to the conclusion that Iska was the knight of her dreams for her, the next queen, something that makes Alice indignant with life and disguises herself by running away from Alice without answering, meeting her friends again. Meanwhile Risa notices the experimental weapon of the 8 great apostles has been destroyed and they already knew about it. Nemur, they ask what the emperor had gone to and Risa says that he probably went to enjoy his own time. She realizes that with this it wouldn't take long for the Diska group to discover the truth, their objectives. In parallel the Salad meets with the emperor, the Melenja. Apparently they are about to have an important conversation. At the same time he is Thier. She is called by her mother to confirm that it was she who leaked information about these bells and also questions if she is true he is Thier, but we don't have the answer because the princess just opens a smile before the answer, and the anime ends with this, that Alice watching the sunset together for having met always again, and the princess says that she should pretend not to know her in front of the people of sovereignty, being the one that makes the two be another romantic climate. And it is very clear now that the two like each other, but at the end of the action enemy rivals, so they follow opposite paths.